Hi, Arthur Thomas Ware here. Are you coming up to your retirement years? Is retirement impending? Or maybe you're recently retired and you're wondering what you're going to do with the rest of your life? I went through that, of course, 28 years ago. I retired. I took voluntary redundancy, as I've said in many of these videos. I've already replaced. But I took voluntary redundancy at age 59, just a month or so before my 59th birthday, actually. And that was 1995. 28 years retired. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've had some experience at this. Maybe others would like to know what I've done to remain fit and active and well in all these years. Well, what I really did is carried on with the things I love doing in my spare time between paid work. And I just stepped those things up when I retired, increased them. I've been into creative writing novels, short stories, etc., since my early 30s. So when I retired, I just did more of that. I joined Toastmasters International in 1972, got interested in public speaking, did the occasional presentation outside of the Toastmasters environment. When I retired, I stepped that up. And along the way, I became very interested in probably the key subject matter, the key interest in my life, self-knowledge and self-understanding. Developing a philosophy of life I could live with. But for you, that's up to you, what your beliefs are. But a good idea is look at your life up to the time you are now. What has been your main interests? What would be the things you would do simply for the love of doing it, even if you weren't being paid? That's the key. It could be a hobby, some sort of pastime. It could be anything at all. But you'll know what it is. It'll be something you put a lot of time and energy and thought into and probably become very good at doing. This is what you need to expand upon, these things and maybe more, when you actually retire. You will go through a stage of exhilaration in the first few weeks perhaps. And then you'll think, what am I going to do now? You might have another 20 or 30 years ahead of you. So what did I do? As I said, apart from expanding on the things I knew I could do, I decided I would learn more about them. Do some voluntary work. And I tried this, various voluntary organisations. Now I live in Sydney, Australia, which is a big city, Australia's biggest city. So there's plenty of opportunities to do the things I like to do. Lots and lots of volunteer organisations. I tried Mission Employments, a charitable organisation. And for a while there I was attempting to teach people how interview skills so they could get jobs here in Australia. I found that a bit disillusioning in the long term, so I didn't stay there long and I tried other things. I tried working with people who were homeless. I tried working with people who were drug addicted, etc. All of this didn't really didn't really appeal in the long term. I tried many things. You might do the same. Then eventually, by chance, really there's no such thing as chance, serendipity, I got talking with a lady who introduced me to an organisation known as U3A. Those letters, U3A, stand for the University of the Third Age. Now, this is a worldwide organisation. Apparently it started in the Netherlands or in Europe somewhere way, way back, at least 50, 60 years ago. It arrived in Australia, and U3A, University of the Third Age, is an all-volunteer organisation where people without any qualifications at all can join it. People run classes and attend classes. I found my forte running a class called Inner Quest, Our Search for Happiness, Body, Mind and Spirit. I was in U3A for 10 years, ran that class for the final 8 years, and people loved it, as did I. The research, the preparation and the delivery of the classes. And I made good friends, and of course we'd go together on a week-long annual bus trip, which I did 10 times. Numerous other trips, lots of social activity, lots of new friends made. That came to an end when I met another fellow, a doctor of philosophy, and we got talking. We decided to write a book, and we wrote a book called Who Stole Your Happiness? I think you'll find it on Amazon. Dr. YKK and myself. Anyway, that came to an end too. What could I do after that? I continued to do things. I was in Toastmasters and still in Toastmasters, have been for 50 years. When I retired, I started to go out to speak to various retiree organisations, national seniors, probus clubs, and other organisations such as the Navigators Association, the Master Mariners Association. I even spoke to a battalion of World War II diggers, Australian soldiers. They were older than me. I was in my 60s then. They would have been in their 70s and early 80s. They're all gone now because I'm in my middle 80s. But I've done, since I retired, 925 guest speaker appearances, and I love it. And I still get the invitations. So those are my interests: public speaking, teaching and writing. That's what I've done, and that's what I continue to do. To keep healthy, I go to the gym twice a week for about an hour and a half. I walk there and I walk back. It's about a 12-minute walk each way. I do some yoga stretches at home, and I do Vipassana meditation twice a day, and have done now for 36 years. So I'm an all-rounder, body, mind and spirit. That's what you need to be too. Don't neglect any part of the trio. Body, keep it fit, keep it strong, keep it subtle. Of course it'll attenuate and weaken as you grow older. We're like a rosebud that flowers and then whittles and dies. That's the nature of things. Accept it. But you can stay as fit and strong as possible and be as active as possible. I've met people in their 90s who can still go for a long walk and are still active and are still with it. You can be too. You have to work on it. Start as early as you can. Then, of course, the mind stuff. Keep being a lifelong learner. There'll be things that you really are interested in. Stay interested in those things. Stay interested in them. And of course, the most important thing of all is your ability to be able to know yourself. Know yourself. That's the important thing. I hope you got something out of this video.